Work without permission. Don't wait for anyone to give you permission, just do it. I realized I wanted to be a filmmaker really late in life. I was in my early 30s and I was working as a publicist in film, publicizing other people's projects on sets for other directors. And I loved it because I love film and I thought that's what I was going to do forever. I had no intention, no idea, no thought, no dream, nothing of being a filmmaker until very, very late in the game for me. And I was observing other filmmakers and thought, if he can do it, I probably could, and I've got some stories to tell. And so I made my first short when I was like 32. Never thought I'd even get accepted to a festival like Sundance. I wasn't trying to break in, I was just doing my work. Yeah, I was just happy to be feeling free and creating something. The first feature film was called This Is the Life, and it was a documentary. I consider myself a documentarian first. I definitely wanted to be able to dabble in both. I'm really inspired by Spike Lee and how he's been able to really embrace different forms of film. Knew very early on that I wanted to do that same thing, be able to apply my storytelling to different kinds of mediums. So while I was doing doc, I was very anxious to also eventually move into narrative. A narrative film, and part of what keeps a lot of black filmmakers, filmmakers of color, and women out of the space is how to enter. The cameras, the lighting, the crew, the actors, location, all the things that you need to make a narrative feature work. Even though it's much easier now to make it than our predecessors, it still takes quite a bit of wherewithal to get all that together. I remember I didn't really feel confident about my filmmaking until right after I directed the episode of Scandal. Because it was the first thing I did that I didn't write. It was the first thing I did where I actually had money to do it. I walked onto Shonda Rhimes' set and I was like, oh, how many cameras are we using? And by the end of it, saw an episode that people responded to, and it made me think, oh wow, I can work outside of my own independent projects. Like there's a confidence came from that. The latest project is called A Wrinkle In Time. A big, epic story, and it's also a very intimate journey of this regular girl who's a little awkward and quirky and not confident in herself. And her father disappears and she has to go on a search for him. But the book has a lot of science in it. I visited JPL, I consulted with a number of astrophysicists, I brought an astrophysicist onto our crew. I did the same thing with 13th, just really going deep into research. The same thing with Selma, the same thing with Middle of Nowhere. Really, even though you think you know, there's always more to learn, and the more that you can go into your filmmaking with, armed with all the tools and all the weapons to craft and fight for your story, you're in much more solid ground than just kind of walking in thinking that you know it all. Work without permission. Don't wait for anyone to give you permission to pick up the camera, to tell your story, to sing your song, go to medical school, whatever it is you want to do. I think a lot of us wait for permission, especially as black filmmakers. We have been indoctrinated socially in our society to ask for permission. It's our unfortunate legacy of slavery, of Jim Crow. It's a very permission-based legacy that we've had, where we don't just feel empowered often enough to just do it. You know, we have great elders and ancestors who just did it, and these are the people that you remember, the people who stepped out and did it. It doesn't have to be making a movie. In whatever way in your life requires you to step into the gap and do that thing that you feel you need permission to do, give yourself permission, and don't wait for anyone to give it to you, because there's no one to wait for. It's all on you.
What's up? I'm PJ with The Root. We're dedicated to bringing you more series and videos like this, and we need your help. Let us know what you thought below, and also subscribe to our channel on YouTube.